Week 5 NFL picks powered by Liquid IV Hydration Multiplier. Chris Hassel joined by Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco.
The birthday boy.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, Pete.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good
Turned 60 again?
50 years
50.
old.
Oh,
Yeah,
50. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's the 12th straight year you just
Yes.
12 straight years.
straight year.
Amazing.
Any 5 and 12s out there last week? How'd you guys do?
It was just as bad. Not much better. Not much. We tied.
Well, that means it's got to turn around at some point,
Well, I
right?
started well for 2 weeks, and then I went in the toilet last week, and this week I was kind of floating on top of the toilet. How about that?
You were a floater?
Let me just say this. Let me say this to people who are viewing it. Just fade us. Just fade us until we prove
You
otherwise.
did
all right?
both hit your best bets last week.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so we have that going for us.
You can bet with us that one bet, fade the rest of our
But
bets.
at least we're honest about it. You know, there's always these
Right.
guys out there, these touts, and these guys give out picks. I've been on fire. Call me, I'll give you a pick. And they give half the country one pick, half the country the other pick. We give our picks, and we are held accountable for our picks.
That's right.
When we stink, we stink. And we've stunk the last 2 weeks.
I've stunk. I mean, you're still overall, I think, a game better than me right now. So, I mean, I've stunk the worst.
Yeah, not by much, though.
It's got to turn around at this point. Let's go to the Thursday
This is
night
the week.
game.
This is the week.
It's a
guys.
tough week, though.
We start
think so.
with a game between two teams really in need of a victory. The Colts are 1-2-1. The Broncos are 2-2. The offense, maybe they turned a corner late in the game. No Jonathan Taylor in this one, though, for Indianapolis.
But no Javonte Williams either
Yeah.
for the Denver Broncos. And that brings then Melvin Gordon back into the fray. He's had some fumbling issues, but they also signed Latavius Murray. And by the way, once he gets up to speed, I think he'll be a good fit for this running scheme that the Broncos are trying to implement. I think the bottom line is it's the picking between which team you trust more on the short week that you've seen so far. It's hard to trust the Colts. I mean, I don't know what you make of their win over the Kansas City Chiefs.
Accident.
Well, or luck, an aberration, whatever you want to call it. But this offensive line isn't playing well. They now don't have Jonathan Taylor. Matt Ryan looks like the Matt Ryan that was playing for the 21 Atlanta Falcons. And defensively, they haven't been as good. So I'll lay the 3 points here. Traditionally, historically, we've seen the home team on short weeks have the advantage. So I'll lay the 3 with Denver.
I'm with you. I'll take the Broncos. They haven't looked great either. Russell Wilson hasn't played very well. The offense hasn't played well at all. Defensively, they gave up some plays last week, which was surprising to me. But when even if Jonathan Taylor were in the game, he
He's been
averaged,
effective.
what do you have, 20 carries for 42 yards last week. They're just not running the ball. The offensive line, we called them out the 1 week, or I did, and they played better the next week. You defend
But
them.
what happened last week? They went back in the tank again.
Right. So should I call them out again? I mean, the coaches around the league should start calling me and asking me to call out their offensive line, because once I do, they play better. But this group is not playing well. They're not good on defense, you're right. And I think this is an opportunity for Denver to play better. At some point, they got to get that offense cranked up, and it will happen. Russell Wilson's too good for it not to happen.
Well, and I think he's getting there. Like, you see flashes of it. You don't see it consistently for an entire game. Maybe this is the game to do it, right? At home, short week, you've got the advantage, I think, against the secondary for Indianapolis. So maybe this is that week where they all of a sudden blossom and they showcase what they're capable of.
Agreement right off the back. That's not
Just
right
like
off the
last
bat. That's
week.
not
You
good.
guys had a ton of agreement.
That's not
last
good
week.
for the folks out there.
These are the 2 of the 4 lowest scoring offenses in the NFL, and both without their starting running backs for this game. We also have a London game again. I made a huge mistake sleeping in this past week. I had Alvin Kamara in my lineup, and he did not. I still won the game. That's how good my fantasy team is.
Wow.
Still won the game, but we got the Giants. And the
Wait,
Packers.
let's wait for something
What?
real quick. Huge mistake sleeping in. You sleep in every day. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, but usually it doesn't hurt me on Sunday
Okay,
because
all right.
usually the games don't start until 1.
Okay.
But again, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time in London. 2 3-1 teams here. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe surprising for the New York Giants. I think we thought the Packers would be here. The interesting thing for the Giants is going to be who's going to be playing quarterback. Now, Daniel Jones has been banged up. He looked like he was moving around okay today at practice, at least from the little bit we get to see that's out there on social media and on the internet. So I would suspect he's going to end up starting based on how he was moving and it being only Wednesday today. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 8 points here with the Green Bay Packers. Reason being is it's not that I don't think that the Giants might be in contention for the NFC East. It's more the fact that I think this is a bad matchup. I think the Giants could have a hard time keeping up with the Packers because they're starting to get going a little bit. I think they're starting to find what their identity is. Dobbs seems to be the rookie that's going to be the go-to guy. Lazard, Tunyon, those guys are the reliable pieces when they do want to throw the football. And the defense started to crank it up a little bit. Now, I'm a little concerned why they couldn't distance themselves from the Patriots last week at home, but I think they take care of business here.
Oh, wait, the Giants are going to compete for the NFC East? Is that what you're saying?
They're in the mix right now at 3-1. Yeah.
Are they going to compete for the NFC East?
If they keep playing like
That's
this,
the way you
yeah.
said. You said they would.
Yeah,
You kinda-
I mean, right now they're 3-1. They're competing in the NFC East.
no, they're not going to compete in the NFC East. Stop it.
They are right now.
They don't throw the ball well enough.
No,
they just
but
don't.
who's running away with it at this point?
No, but at some point
Philly?
there'll be separation. Philly and the Cowboys will separate from the Giants. But give credit to Brian Daboll. He's been outstanding. This team, when you look at it, they're from 1965, or better yet, 1960 when I was born. 1960. I was 5. Breaking down coaches when I was 5 years old. I'll tell you that right now. Allie Sherman of the Giants, garbage. Get him out of here. But no, when you look at this team, they are an old school team. They lead the league in rushing. Saquon Barkley looks like Saquon Barkley
That's
again.
your best player on your team right now.
And they don't have any receivers. But that's not good enough to win this game. It's not good enough to cover this game. By the way, this is 2 running teams. Packers haven't thrown the ball that well either. At some point, though, they will. And Rodgers gave out a hint this week, remember?
What'd he say?
He said something to the effect of, we can't play this way against the really good teams down the road or else we're not going to win. In other words, time to open up the playbook.
I think they're trying to open it up. It's hard bringing those young bucks along. Dobbs and Watson, I think they'd like to lean on those guys a little bit more, but it seems like they want to run the football and base everything off the play action pass, where you get your tight end up the seam, like they did Tunyon last week. You get Dobbs, you can get him on a back shoulder. I think you're starting to see that familiarity, that comfort with Rodgers and some of the guys catching the passes. I kind of thought the running backs would be a little bit more involved in the passing game, maybe even more so than they have
Aaron
thus far.
Jones, for sure. Does the Packers' poor run defense at times bother you?
Yes, especially in
that's
this
why
game.
8.5. That's what I'm saying.
Like, that's the thing that
But
concerns
I'm
me
laying
about
it.
this one.
I'm laying it, but that's concerning. They have to be better against the run.
Well, and Rodgers loves London. I mean, trust me, just from knowing the guy a little bit. He loves his tea. He loves London. He will thrive over there.
Nothing like some tea and biscuits at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
They're
right
the
up my,
last-
right up my alley.
The last team to play overseas in Europe. Every other team had played until the Packers now. All right, so let's recap them. More agreements here. That's
I don't like
back-to-back.
that. I don't like it.
Back-to-back agreements. Broncos -3, Packers -8. It is time for Pete Prisco's Spinning Top of the Week.
This one was actually easy.
Really?
And yeah, because look, there are rookie tackles that aren't playing well, but I'm not going to put them in. Or rookie linemen who aren't playing well, I'm not going to put them in, at least now, until halfway through
Wouldn't
the
you
season.
say this particular player was going up against a tough rush and in a tough
Brady's
environment?
defending him again.
I'm asking the question.
Before we even say his name, you're defending Isaiah Wynn. The man was benched because he was dreadful.
He was bad.
Let's put it this way. He got his quarterback hurt, and that's never a good thing. Let's just take a look at him. He's the right tackle. Had been previously a left tackle. They switched him over, and when you watch him in this game, he doesn't really. This is
that
the
one
play.
matter?
That one wasn't. That wasn't one of the plays I pulled. I think they pulled the wrong one. But you can continue to watch some of these plays though.
A Busted just drove by?
Look at this. Look at this. I mean, you can't do this. You have to be able to put up some sort of resistance as a
The biggest
right tackle.
issue is he went out to Rashawn Gary. You got to kick step
Let him come
deep.
to him.
Let him come to you. Let him close the gap.
Yeah. I mean, here we go again. This is the play he gets hurt on, I think.
He absolutely misses it.
I mean, he's just whiffed. It's just a whiff. It's
By the way,
terrible.
Rashawn Gary looks like he's playing.
He's a good player.
No, but
Rashawn-
he looks like he's playing at a better level this year.
I mean, he's a good player. Even in the run game. Look, this is stalemate, boom. You got to, and it allows him, he has to bounce and allows him to make the play. He's got to be better than that. Yeah, he holding for sure. I mean, just the entire afternoon, and it was a short afternoon because he was benched at halftime. Again, here we go. Gary around the corner. Look at that. I mean, it's like, ole!
Yeah, that was the old turnstile right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when you are a guy who's a first-round pick, you started at left tackle. Did they make a mistake flopping him, or would it be even worse if he played the left tackle spot? Because remember, Trent Brown played right side. Now he's playing the left side, and Isaiah Wynn went to the right side.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I know from talking with offensive linemen, that transition, whether it's left tackle to right tackle, even tackle to guard, it's a world of difference. I mean, you talk about playing in a phone booth at guard and out in space to tackle, and you go left side to right side. The way you kick, the way you punch and use your hands, the way your body even develops over time with the way
Your stance.
Your stance is off. So there's all those things that take a while to adjust to if you don't have experience doing it. I do think Isaiah Wynn moved around a little bit throughout his career. And I know this. I mean, when you're in training camp, you always see offensive line groups mix and match because there's going to be times when they want to try to get their best five out there.
And he worked at right tackle.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
there's
he's worked
no
it before.
excuse for him.
There's no.
By the way, Marcus Cannon, who's back in New England, went in and played for him at right tackle. So that's a bad situation for the Patriots up front.
I'm proud of you for singling somebody out. A lot of times you cop out.
Well, when you go to single somebody out and then you see one of his brethren on the offensive line who's just as bad as he is, then you throw him into the mix as well.
That's how those offensive line units like it. They don't like to differentiate from one another. If they stink, they all stink as a group.
Yeah, like Pete's old high school offensive line, right? You were a guard back in the day.
Yeah, but when I graded out well and the other guys didn't, I was okay with that.
The Patriots host the Lions this week. We'll get that pick a little bit later from the guys. We have never had more 2-2 teams in the NFL, and a pair of them are facing off in the early window on CBS. Chargers, Browns. We'll pick that one next. All right, let's check out the early window on CBS this Sunday. The Chargers are at the Browns. The Bills laying a huge number at home against the Steelers. Kenny Pickett's first start there. Dolphins without Tua at the Jets. Titans look to win their third straight game. They are slight favorites at the Commanders. And the Jags back home, 7-point favorites against the Texans. Chris Hassel, Brady Quinn, Pete Prisco. Let's start with the Chargers and the Browns. And the Chargers have not done anything on the ground yet this season. They're averaging 64.5 rushing yards a game.
Quite the contrast from the team they're playing in the Cleveland Browns. That's the one thing you can hang your hat on is Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt in the rushing attack. But look, the Chargers on the road in Cleveland, this is one where I'm going to lay the 3 points. I know home dogs have been great this year. I think they're 17-10-1 against the spread. So that doesn't bode well for this pick. But Justin Herbert's just playing at a different level. I think you saw that last week versus Houston. And even without Joey Bosa, they can still get after it on the defensive side. So this is one where until I see Cleveland be able to figure things out in the red zone, stay on the field on third down, and be able to finish a game, I just have a hard time buying it. So I'll lay the 3 points with the Chargers.
I'm with you. It is back-to-back road games outside the division, which I always think is tough to do. But I think Herbert will get it cranked up here. You know, the left tackle, Sally kid, went in there and really played well in place of Slater. I mean, he was one of the better offensive linemen in the league last week. So I think they'll be okay in protection. They'll be able to throw the ball. Cleveland's defense is not very good right now.
Myles Garrett is back for this one, though.
Even so, they're not very good. Even when he's been on the field, they haven't been very good. So I think the Chargers will find a way, with Justin Herbert having a big day throwing the football.
Feels like it's more their secondary than it is necessarily Garrett or their rush. I feel still like they can get pressure. It's just they're not covering down very well.
No, they're not covering.
And I know Greedy Williams, he's looking at coming back as well, so there is some reinforcements coming for the Browns.
Browns missed some opportunities. Really
should have won that
favorable start to the season.
They should be undefeated.
Yeah.
Let's be real about this.
And now it gets tough.
2,229 teams had won in that scenario versus the Jets. Well, they dropped that one, and then they dropped the one last week.
They should have coached them to go down. They would have won that game.
Well, amongst a bunch of other things.
I know. Well, I mean, that's the first and foremost. If he goes down, they win the game.
Another CBS game, 1 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday. I think this is the biggest number of the season so far. Bills minus 14 at home against Kenny Pickett's Steelers.
Yeah, and look, underdogs are 57% against the spread this season so far. It's probably one of the reasons why I've stunk so bad is I went with too many favorites. So given how big this spread is, and I know the Bills are at home, look, they're maybe the best team in the NFL right now. It's still a lot. And I think I've got a lot of respect for Mike Tomlin, this defense, and what they're capable of doing to shut down some of what I think the Bills are capable of. So I get it. It's Kenny Pickett's first start on the road. Probably couldn't have picked much worse of a place to have to start your career off. I got faith in this young man. You go back through those 3 picks. Look, the last one doesn't count. That's a Hail Mary. The other 2 get volleyballed up. Chase Claypool should have made a better play on that one. And Pat Fryer tips the other one up to the Jets defense. It's not on him. He did provide a spark. I think offensively they'll be better, but don't get it twisted. The Bills win this game, probably by 10, maybe by 13.
Yeah, I'm taking Buffalo in this game, and I'm not taking him because I don't believe in Kenny Pickett. I think Pickett's going to be a big-time player. He has that.
Got the fire in the belly.
Fire in the belly. He does. He has it. And you could see it when he got on the field. You could see him take
over. It's all from the players, right?
Yeah, and the players responded to him. I think he's going to be just fine. That's not my concern. My concern is the Pittsburgh defense. They let Zach Wilson go right down the field on him at the end of the game. Game on the line. Boop, right down the field.
Well, it was a short field.
But still, you go down the field. It should not happen. You should not score a touchdown to win that game, and they did. So I think Buffalo gets home. They've been on the road. I think they get home, and I think they play really well here throwing the football offensively. I'm going to take mine. I hate giving 14. I'm with you, but I'm going to lay it because I just don't think they're going to.
See that note? This is the most the Steelers have gotten points-wise since the '95 Super Bowl. I think that was the one against the Cowboys.
They didn't get 14 in that game.
That's the first time they've gotten 13 or more since that game. That's the stat from research. All right, another CBS game, 1 o'clock Eastern time. It's the Dolphins at the Jets. Pete, intriguing matchup now because Tua's not in the game. Jets 2-2 coming off a win.
Can I ask you this question? Does this line look funny to you?
A little bit.
Jets at 2-2, taking a backup quarterback at home, and they're the underdog?
Yeah, and it's not like Miami's defense is playing great football. I don't get that line at all. But if I'm a fish, then you hooked me. I mean, because I bit the hook. Because I just think that this is one of those games where the Jets at home against a team, it's not like last week. They had their quarterback last week. Now they don't. And Teddy Bridgewater is good for a couple games, but is he going to be good on the road against the Jets? That's my concern. You like Teddy Bridgewater, you're going to defend him.
He's been historically really good against the spread.
I know.
Teams have constantly done this.
But I think he's going to struggle a little bit here. And, the Jets' young pass rushers are starting to show up. They are.
Quinn Williams is showing up.
Quinn Williams is playing great. And I think they're going to be able to handle their offense. And defensively, I'm worried about Miami. They just haven't been the defense that I thought they would be. Zach Wilson will throw 1 or 2 bad throws, but he'll make enough in this game to win it. I'm going to take the Jets. You're with me. I don't know. You're rolling your eyes.
I'm taking the 3 points in the home dog. Again, I threw out the stat earlier. Home underdog 17-10-1 against the spreads.
They win the game.
I don't know that, but because again, it looks funny to me. I do think the Jets should be favored by 3. Instead, they're getting 3. Doesn't make sense to me. Give a lot of credit to Zach Wilson. He played awful the first 3 quarters, and he had his best quarter of his entire career in the fourth quarter to help bring them back. And they got some help there. And that's what I'm curious to see is how the Jets defense will match up with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on that speed. Because you'd have to admit this. Say whatever you want about Teddy Bridgewater. His skill set isn't that different than Tua Tagovailoa's as far as what they can do within the passing game. So I do think they'll be able to have their big plays and have their opportunities of getting some points. Tyreek Hill had some bulletin board material, if you could call it that. He would have been a Jet if not for the state income taxes. So take that for what it's worth. Bottom line is I'm concerned about the Dolphins' defense shutting down the rushing attack of the Jets, and I'm concerned about that offensive line stopping Quinn Williams, as good as he looks.
Well, you clearly don't think Teddy's going to be that good because you picked the Jets.
Well, I mean, look, I'd be fooled by this. Well, I'm picking the Jets with the points. I'm not saying they win outright. Right. You're saying that.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't say that.
No, but you're picking the Jets plus the 3.
Well,
so.
I'm gonna put a little side mark here. So you're picking the win?
Well,
I'll just take the 3
on,
points.
when we get to my best bets, I'll let you know.
Okay, let me know.
Oh, a little foreshadowing. Okay. Let's move on to the Titans at the Commanders. We buried Tennessee. 0-2 start. Back-to-back wins. They look like they could be a factor once again.
It's kind of like how Stella got her groove back. It's like how Tannehill got his groove back. He looks like he's coming along there. I know they're going to miss Treylon Burks, but the passing game's coming along. Derrick Henry's looking more like himself. And defensively, I think they're starting to adjust as far as life without Harold Landry. And as far as the Commanders go, the tough thing for me here is they just have not been the offense I thought they would be, in particular Wentz and some of the weapons they have on the outside. And for that reason, I just think the Titans are headed back in a direction we've seen them under Mike Vrabel, who's one of the more underrated coaches in the NFL. So I'll lay the 2.5 points. If this thing was 3.5, I'd probably be on the other side of it. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I'll lay the 2.5 for Tennessee.
A couple weeks ago, I made the Commanders my best bet, remember? Oh, I regretted that in a big way. I'm going back to the Commanders here. Back-to-back road games for the Titans. This one outside of division. They played a big game last week. They're a tough physical team, but this is the desperation game. Like the Raiders last week, which was my best bet and a winner. This is desperation at play. They have to try and save their season, and I think they will. I'm going to take the Commanders plus.
You kind of pick and choose when you want to use this whole back-to-back road game.
I use it when it's always there.
It's always
there. Some teams are above it. Okay. Tennessee's not.
Okay. Well.
And by the way, I agree with you on Mike Vrabel. This team is him.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's physical. They know how to handle adversity. This is Mike Vrabel, and you really take on his personality.
That's the biggest compliment I think you can give a head coach. When the team embodies what you represent or what you are as a coach, and the Tennessee Titans are that.
But Pete, you like the Commander. You want the points, but do you think they win outright?
I do. I do.
Couple underdogs for Pete this week.
Barking. Woof, woof.
Right. Up next, we move to a battle for first place in the NFC South. Tom Brady, Marcus Mariota, quarterback scales, anyone? Finishing up picking the early slate this Sunday in Week 5, the Buccaneers, 8.5-point favorites against the Falcons. Those two teams, both 2-2. Winner of that game going to be atop the division in the NFC South. Saints are 1-3 in that division. They are home favorites, 5-point favorites against the 2-2 Seahawks. Vikings look to get to 4-1, and Patriots 3-point favorites at home against the Lions in a matchup of 1-3 teams. Let's pick them. Brady Quinn, Pete Prisco here. It's just a lot of teams right now that are 2-2, 1-3, just kind of plugging away. You got the Atlanta Falcons. They started at the very bottom of Pete's power rankings. I think the first couple weeks you had them last, and here they are, a chance to take over first place by themselves if they can beat Tom Brady.
The interesting thing about this game is I think it's going to tell us a lot about the Atlanta Falcons. You know, coming into the season, I think we thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. And to their credit, Arthur Smith, Marcus Mariota, the rest of the team, they've been competitive. They've been winning games. They've been finding ways of winning games, and give them a lot of credit. They're going to find out a lot here, though, because the Bucs want to respond, and that's as good of a defense as they're going to play in the entire NFL. And even though there's a lot of distractions out there for Tom Brady right now, they're starting to get healthy at the wide receiver position. You're starting to see how that's going to play out. So this one's a tough one for me. 8.5 points, kind of a lot for a divisional game. Curious to see how the Falcons respond. Even though they got a win last week, they didn't look good, especially offensively. So I'm concerned about that. But I'm going to take the Falcons and the 8.5 points, and until they prove to me otherwise that they're the team I thought they were before the season started.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the other side of this. And look, we said on this Power Rankings show the other day, I said the Falcons have the most to gain this week of any team in the league. If they win, they're proving to people they're legitimate. And they, by the way, they should have beat a couple of those teams. They should have won in week 1 against the Saints, and they had the ball late against the Rams on the road with a chance to tie the game. So they've been in every game, and that's a tribute to Arthur Smith. He's done a nice job. But Marcus Mariota threw for 135 yards, I think, last week. I mean, that's terrible.
Him and Drake London weren't on the same
You
page.
can't win in this league that way. You just can't consistently. You can win games, but you're not going to consistently win. Tom Brady will get it cranked back up. And that defense had problems Sunday night. They're going to respond in a big way.
It's like an entirely different offense you're facing. Now, you're not facing Patrick Mahomes. I mean, come on.
But still, whatever happened to them, they were bad.
Yeah, I get that.
They're going to be good this week. They'll be good this week.
Drake London are tough matchups. They've got some speed there, too, in Atlanta. It's not the same passer. I mean,
No, I know it's not the same passer, but when you have problems one week, usually a group with that much pride respond.
It's a copycat league. I don't know many teams that can copycat what the Kansas City Chiefs can do.
No.
I'll leave it at that.
That's not what I'm saying, but they'll respond.
Brady hasn't lost 3 straight starts in 20 years.
He lost 3 straight starts.
Tom Brady.
That's a good one. Seahawks at Saints, and the Seahawks with the better record.
Birthday, so we're being nice.
The Saints are 5-point favorites in this game.
I like what I've seen out of Geno Smith. I really have. And you can ask Pete Carroll, and he'll rave about him too. And in part, I think because, well, maybe who they moved on from and how it looks in Denver right now, but how it looks in Seattle. A lot of people counted this team out. They're better defensively than what they were a year ago. You get guys like Tariq Woolen who are stepping up, who was a diamond in the rough from this past year's draft. And Geno Smith, what is he? NFL record, right? First 4 games completion percentage. They're throwing the football well. I think they stay within the number. You've got a game here that I get the time zones, long travel, all that stuff. I think they hang around with this one. I haven't been blown away with the Saints so far. I know how good they can be defensively. Just offensively, it seems like they've been a little inconsistent.
I'm with you. They've struggled offensively, but I think this is a game for their defense, Brady. I think their defense really gets going here. And look, Seattle went on the road last week, and they're back out on the road. This is a long trip, too. You're out on the road again. And here's the other thing. Geno Smith can't keep up this pace. He just can't. 75% completion.
I don't know. He's
not going
to feel for the system with Shane
I think this
is
the game. This is the game for the Saints defense to get back on track, play well, limit that passing game. They'll score enough on offense. I'll lay the points. There is a concern though. They came back from London and didn't take the bye.
Right.
Remember, they could have taken a bye and they chose.
Packers are doing that too, I believe.
Yeah. Some teams are choosing not to do that. So, will that trip influence you in either way? I don't. It's not.
If it comes down to a field goal, how do you feel about that?
Doink, doink, off the upright. But I think they find a way to win this game and cover the number. I'll take the Saints.
Saints started 6th in your power rankings.
Yeah, they're falling.
They're going to be at the bottom soon.
And to get it turned around, they're going to have to do it with their defense.
Okay, Bears and Vikings, NFC North battle. Vikings keeping pace with the Green Bay Packers right now. They beat them in week 1 and trying to get to 4-1 here. You would think they would do that against Chicago at home.
There's really no reason why I should be picking the Bears, but if you notice a trend this week.
You did, though.
I did, because you've got a lot of dogs who are stepping up, and I think you got a lot of divisional games. And I want to see how these things play out because, common sense, you could have went either side at that 7 number for me. But Minnesota Vikings, nice win in London. Got to come back. They don't have that bye week either. How's that going to affect the Minnesota Vikings? We know the Bears are going to want to try to run the football, and maybe we'll see something more from Justin Fields, but I think they hang around in this one. I don't think this one gets out of hand. The Vikings have been inconsistent at times. I think Matt Eberflus will have a plan for shutting down Justin Jefferson. When you shut him down, it almost shuts down the entire offense. So I'll take the 7 points of the Chicago Bears here.
You keep mentioning division games, and it's the first division game.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. And typically you kind of see, all right, how's this going to play out?
And these are 2 new coaches, so they don't really know each other. There's a lot of new players on both teams, so they don't know each other.
Trust me, they all know each other.
Well, not as well as they. There's a lot of young guys on that Bears team.
A lot of young guys who play.
I throw that out the window, and later in the season, I get.
I just use your rationale for
later.
the London trip, and then you can't even give me that.
No, later in the season, I'm with you 100%. But in a game like this, where it's all new staffs and new systems and everything else, you can't. There's no.
Later in the season, it won't matter because the Bears probably won't be playing for anything.
No, but
so that's when that game won't matter.
You'll be familiar with
this
how bad they are.
They're still in the hunt right now.
Are they?
Right now, everyone is.
Yeah, well,
we're 4 games of the season.
But they're not going to be in the hunt after this game. They start going cratering. I think the Vikings.
I'm not saying they win.
I think the Vikings
cover.
will play much better. It's not prime time, so the quarterback will play well, and their offense will move the football. And the problem with Minnesota right now is their run defense has been an issue, and the Bears can run the ball, so that could be a problem. But I think the quarterback play of Chicago right now is awful, with a capital A, and he'll turn the ball over a couple different times. I'll take the Vikings.
Bears not doing anything offensively. Lions doing a ton offensively, but they have a worse record. They're 1-3, bottom of that division, going on the road to the Patriots. For New England, did you like what you saw from Bailey Zappi?
I did. When he got drafted there, part of me questioned, all right, what's the thought process behind this? Then it dawned on me, well, they're like a clone of one another. I mean, really, when you go back and watch Bailey Zappi from his time at Western Kentucky, he was one of the most prolific passers we've seen at the college football level, but very similar from the pocket. Good touch, can make all the throws. He's not mobile. He's not going to hurt you with his legs. Very capable, though, in that sort of New England-style system of controlling everything out there and getting the ball where it needs to go. Now,
a couple of his passes stayed in the air for about a half hour last.
Well, I didn't say he's got the strongest arm, all right? And he's not. They're not at altitude here playing in Foxborough, where he's going to be, getting a little advantage. But this, to me, has more to do with the Lions, and in particular Jared Goff, and the job that he's done really since Ben Johnson took over as their pass game coordinator and then offensive coordinator. He is lighting it up, and he's playing phenomenal. Go back, by the way. Look at the stats. Compare Jared Goff to Matt Stafford about halfway through the season, last 5 games, and how those 2 guys have panned out. I'm just saying, they've got something, and he was playing without Amon-Ra St. Brown last week, DJ Chark, TJ Hawkinson goes off. This is going to be one of those Dan Campbell, just gutsy type of games. And I think the Lions hang around. This one's razor close, even as bad as their defense is. I'll take the 3 points.
I'm not. I think their defense is, they're historically bad right now. They're on pace to give up more points than any team in the history.
And they're going to the Bailey Zappi?
Yeah. Well, I think we can score on them. They're so bad, Brady.
I'm not saying that.
They have so many guys busting coverages and guys wide open. It is a bad defense right now, really bad. And I think the Patriots will take advantage of that, particularly now since they got Isaiah Wynn out of the lineup. They're going to take advantage of it. I think they'll score points on them. I'm with you on Jared Goff, by the way.
He's been phenomenal.
He's been outstanding, and everybody loves to kill Jared Goff. He's one of those guys that everybody just takes shots at. He's played really good football.
Tell you what, you let him get in a rhythm, he will pick you apart, and that is proven. And you've seen it this year. When he gets going early in games, he's tough to stop.
Stafford
I'm saying right now, you'd say Jared Goff's playing better football. That's not debatable.
It's not going to say he's a better quarterback. You're just going to take him right now.
I'm saying right now he's playing
better football.
That's what I'm
saying. I won't argue with you.
So it was a bad trade?
No. They won
a Super Bowl. You sold your soul and you got it. Of course not.
Schedule opens up, by the way, for the Patriots. If they can get this one, they've got the Bears, they got the Jets twice, so they could get back into things.
Well, Jets fans would argue that.
That's true. It goes the other way. Yeah, they have a better record. Total disagreement from you guys.
Yeah.
In this slate of games.
I like that right.
You don't agree on a damn thing.
A lot of dogs.
Dogs barking for Brady, Falcons, Seahawks, Bears, Lions. Coming up next, we do have an agreement on this particular matchup. The Cowboys going out to LA to take on the Rams. Which side are they on? All right, let's look at the late afternoon slate. Just 3 games again this week because of that London game at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. 49ers nearly touchdown favorites against the Panthers. The Rams giving 5.5 to the Cowboys. And the Eagles on the road in the desert against the Cardinals, giving 5, the lone remaining unbeaten team in the NFL. Brady, Quinn, Pete Prisco going to pick these 3 games. Let's start with the Niners and the Panthers. San Francisco coming off that impressive win against the Rams.
It was an impressive win, and give their defense a lot of credit. I mean, that is as good of a pass rush as you're going to find. Nick Bosa has been phenomenal this year so far. That's what's known. What's not known is the fact that the Panthers defense has been playing pretty well too. They're not so bad. And I think they'll be a formidable challenge for Jimmy Garoppolo and probably this rushing attack for the 49ers. The thing I want to point to is the trend so far in the NFL, Pete. We've seen as many 3-point margin of victory games, I think, as we've ever seen in the first 4 weeks.
23 of them all.
A lot of parity. So when I look at this matchup, the 49ers got to come all the way over to Carolina. I just think something tells me. Short week. Something tells me this one's going to be close. So I'm going to take the 6.5 points in Carolina here. Now, Baker Mayfield may have 15 more batted down passes, but I still think they can stay within the number.
Yeah, I don't. I think the biggest mismatch in this game is that defensive line against that offensive line. That offensive line is not good right now. That defensive line is playing at an amazing level. And the 49ers are one of those teams that no matter who they put in the middle of that line, because of Bosa, they're going to get singled and get pressure. And that's what they do. A guy like Givens goes in and gets pressure. So I think they're going to be able to influence the quarterback. Baker Mayfield's bad right now. In fact, I would consider going to P.J. Walker if I were them.
I'm not there yet as far as that goes.
Of course not. You defend the quarterback.
Well, because he just got there in training camp. I mean, it's his first time in this system.
55% completion percentage.
I get that.
Dreadful.
You can tell he's still learning the system. He's still working through it. I don't think P.J. Walker has more ability than Baker.
I don't either.
Once this thing starts to
even
click.
more ability in that system.
Well, he has more familiarity with it. I don't know that he has more ability in it. So I was saying once this thing starts to click, they'll have more success. How about this? Why not Christian McCaffrey be healthy for once? How about that? How about your best player isn't able to be out there, isn't able to be 100% all the time? He played last week, but he's not 100%. He's always playing banged up. There's always this or that.
They got receivers all over the place that don't give him the football.
That's because they're getting batted down at the line of scrimmage.
DJ Moore. I mean,
balls
give the
are
ball.
eventually gonna
Get
get
these
there.
guys the ball. You're right. Their defense is pretty good. I do like the under in this game. We didn't do any over-unders, but I would take the under. But I'm going to take San Francisco. I think they win 23-7. I don't think that Carolina will score in this game.
It's a big victory in the NFL
Yeah,
right now.
it is.
10 batted balls the line for Baker Mayfield. Nobody else with more than 7 so far in the NFL. All right, couple of good late games, 4:25 Eastern Time. Cowboys at the Rams. Cooper Rush keeping it going. Now 4-0 in his career as a starter, 3-0 this season. No turnovers.
No turnovers. They haven't asked him to win a game yet, though. You know, he's been doing his part. He's been taking care of the football, doing what's there in the passing game. But they've had the rushing attack with Zeke and Tony Pollard. He's had some wide open guys to hit, so it hasn't been as much pressure. I think this is where things start to kind of fall by the wayside. I'm laying the 5.5 points here going with the Rams. I know they haven't looked good either. And look, I'm concerned about the Rams' offensive line versus Micah Parsons and the Cowboys' defensive front. The reality is, though, eventually the Rams are going to get things going. I think this is one of those games.
What do they say about backup quarterbacks in the NFL? You get 3 games. Three. By the 4th game, they know what you can do. By the 4th game, you usually become what you are. You are what you are. And Cooper Rush is a backup quarterback in the National Football League. That will show up here. The Rams' defense, which did not play well the other night, will play good here. I am concerned, though, Brady. You know, you mentioned that pass rush against that offensive line. But I think this is a perfect spot for Sean McVay to get this team back refocused.
Then you start running the football again.
They do. They have to run the ball,
stop putting
take the
Stafford's
pressure off of Stafford a little bit. And once they start running the ball, which I think they will in this game, then I think they'll hit some shots down the field. So I'm going to take the Rams minus the points as well.
San Francisco, the team to beat, though, in that division right now?
I think so.
Oh, yeah. Well, Kyle Shanahan home, Sean McVay.
Yeah, regular season, yeah. Eagles, only unbeaten team, looking to get to 5-0 at basically the Fighting Kyler Murray's. He's been the whole team so far to this point. 5 points is what the Eagles are giving on the road.
Seems kind of a lot to me, and that's why I'm on the side of Arizona here. I just think he nullifies a lot of the strengths of what Philly can do, and that's that pass rush. I mean, they will be able to get after Kyler Murray, but once he gets outside the pocket, he's special. He's proven the ability to put this team on his back. The defense is starting to play a little bit better, too. I mean, obviously, Carolina's not some offensive juggernaut, but they stepped up last week. And eventually the Eagles, it's going to calm down. They have been as hot as any team and played as well as any team. Long trip, multiple time zones, all that jazz we can talk about. I just think eventually this thing's going to calm down. So I'm not saying the Cardinals win this one, but again, I think they keep it close. They keep it within the number. I'm taking the 5 points.
You forgot something else about the Eagles.
What's that?
They play Dallas next week. I mean, will they be peeking ahead?
Oh, you think it's a trap game, huh?
No, I don't
Trap
think so.
game?
I wanted to do that. You know I believe in that kind of
believe
stuff.
in trap games.
But I just can't do it. I'm not a believer in this Arizona team at all. I know they beat Carolina last week, but that game was close until the end, and Carolina's not good. And I don't think Arizona's that good either. I think Philly can rush the passer, as you mentioned. They'll keep them contained in there. And I think they're going to move the ball on offense. It's hard to prepare for them during the season, and I think they're going to move the ball on offense. So I'll take the Eagles minus the points. I wanted to take the Cardinals. I really did.
5-0.
Huh?
Did you see that coming before the season?
No. I thought they'd be good, but I didn't think they'd go on.
I think they could be a wild card team. Dallas.
Yeah.
Look, they're still right there.
I thought they'd win the division, but 5-0? No, I did not see that.
Cardinals have lost 7 straight at home. Longest losing streak since the 50s, Pete, before you were born. Was it Chicago in the 50s? Is that where they were?
Yeah, Chicago Cardinals.
Or St. Louis?
No, they were in Chicago in the 50s.
Okay.
St. Louis.
Life lessons from the 60s.
Yeah, I love St.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, 50s.
St. Louis Cardinals were fun to watch. They threw it around.
Let's see. What do we have here? Any agreements? Any agreements?
Well, Pete just likes all the favorites. He's an elitist on his birthday here.
No, I took some out.
You're not very relatable right now. You're going with the common man. You're not very. You spent all the favorites over here.
Rams minus 5.5. The only thing they agree on in the late afternoon slate. All right, let's go to the primetime games on Sunday and Monday night, including a matchup between Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. Man, Burrow just lit them up last season. HQ picks against the spread presented by Liquid IV. Primetime games this week on Sunday night, the Ravens hosting the Bengals. And on Monday, the Chiefs hosting the Raiders. Bunch of great quarterbacks in action in primetime. We'll throw Derek Carr in there as well. Why not? Why not?
3 of them anyway.
Okay. All right, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Last season, Burrow averaged like 470 yards per game against the Ravens.
Yeah, and I don't see this game going much different. You know, they're having a problem rushing the passer. The Bengals have extra time after playing Thursday Night Football. They've gotten things going in the passing game. Defensively, I think they'll be able to hold up versus Lamar. And look, if it comes down to some of those late game decisions by John Harbaugh, I don't know, it's kind of bit him in the butt, if you're looking at it. So I'll go ahead and take the 3 points to the Bengals here. And I think they don't need it. I think they'll win this one outright.
Yeah, I think Joe Burrow in that passing game got it cranked up against Miami, and I think they'll continue here. This Ravens defense is so unlike anything we've seen from that team in a long time. And think about that. They were a better defense a year ago, and he lit them up. I think he's going to light them up again. And you mentioned the defense. Their defense is going to start coming together in Cincinnati, and they have the guys that can contain him on the edge with Hendrickson and Hubbard and group. They can get up and keep him contained. So I do believe that the Bengals will win this game and cover the number.
To me, I think they're going to play that nickel defense, allow Jesse Bates to kind of roam around and keep some eyes on him. As good as Lamar's looked at times, there's still just not the type of consistency that I think you'll need to have in a game like this, where I think Burrow's going to put up some big numbers. He's starting to feel himself, starting to be the quarterback we saw last year leading to the Super Bowl.
By the way, the Ravens should have kicked the field goal to take the lead late in that game. And all the Madden players out there, they all said, oh, he did the right thing, he did the right thing. If it was 40 to 40, I would get it. 20-20. I mean, it's not like the Bills that went up and down the field. Yeah, kick the field.
Well, and at home too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you kind of you look at how the play presents itself, because it's not like, hey, 4th down, you end up not getting it and they're taking over at the 2.
Right.
It ends up being an interception. So now it's either they're moving them back out. So you really probably would have been better off kicking the field goal, kicking it off, as far as a field position battle there too.
All right, Monday Night Football. Raiders finally got their first win of the season. Chiefs looked amazing against the Bucks. Mahomes has owned the Raiders 7-1 in his career.
He has, but these two teams typically play each other really tough. And I think the one win that the Raiders had was in Arrowhead.
Yes.
So this is a place where I think Derek Carr is starting to get a better feel for the system. I think they're going to hammer away running the football with Josh Jacobs. And I know the Chiefs' defense has improved, Pete, and the offense is hitting on all cylinders. Something tells me this one's going to stay in the number. I think Kansas City wins this game. And something tells me it's going to be like a 3-6 point type margin of victory here.
For years, this rivalry was the other team would win at the other guy's building.
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of cooled off. But you're right, Carr did beat him there at one time. He won't beat him there this time, though.
I didn't say that.
No.
I just said I think the Chiefs win by 36.
I don't think it's going to be
Stays
close. I don't think it's going to be close.
Okay.
I think Mahomes and that group, they have it going now.
Do they?
It's on.
They found it's
that
on.
offensive line is really playing good football. I think they're going to, he's thrown more passes to the backs than any quarterback in the league.
Look how everyone's playing him right now.
Of course, and
Soft zone
that's
coverage.
a sign of growth for the quarterback. And then they'll start coming down, and then he goes over the top, and then they're back to being the Mahomes.
Everyone's fine giving up those 5, 6, 7 yard dunks and then playing good red zone defense. That's what they're trying to do.
They will move the ball all night long, just like they did against Tampa. They'll win the game and cover.
Okay.
Win the AFC?
No, Buffalo's winning the AFC.
Still riding with Buffalo.
Still riding Kansas City.
All right, so here are the prime time picks. They agree on the Bengals +3 at Baltimore against the Ravens. Chiefs -7 says Pete. Brady says Raiders will cover the 7. It is time now for your Performance Multiplier, powered by Liquid IV Hydration Multiplier. Best bets for Week 5 in the NFL with Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco. Brady, what's your best bet?
I got the Jets. I'm taking the 3 points at home. I know it's crazy. Everyone thinks I picked this team to go 0-9. I didn't. I picked the under on wins this season.
Wait. Social media said you pat them going 0-17.
Wait.
Exactly. I mean,
That's not what it says here on your paper.
What does it say?
It says Packers.
Oh, gosh, that's your pick. Sorry. That was the pick I wanted to do, and they told me that was yours, so I went with the Packers. Jesus, my bad. Sorry about that.
We can both have the Jets. We can have
we
double.
wanted to differentiate. So I picked the Packers to land the 8. Going up against, the Giants in London. Not necessarily sure if it will be Daniel Jones, most likely, but still.
You can
they
have
won't be able to
multiple
keep
best
pace.
bets. So you like the Jets.
Well, I had multiple, but once he picked the Jets, I was like, okay, now.
Did Mayron strong arm you and say you can't take
He
that?
did. He's a strong man.
He said no totals
All right,
today.
my
no
pick,
overs.
my
we
pick
won to-
is the Green Bay. No, it's not.
You like that pick, though.
Yeah, I would. I like the Jets. I think the Jets are going to win this game outright. I know I'm with you. The line looks a little funky, but I don't believe in this Dolphins team. And they're rested, but they're also playing consecutive road games. That's tough to do. I will take the New York Jets to win the game outright.
Wow.
You won't need the points.
What a call by Pete.
Yep.
What a call.
Let's hope we start turning things around a little bit here. I think it's time.
Well, one of us
By the
will
way,
because
I did say this on the Pick 6 podcast today because everyone seems to think I don't think the Jets are good at whatever else. And I said that's not the case. But I did say I'm going to donate $1,000 for every win now, moving on the rest of the season, to a charity, whoever chimes in on Pick 6 podcast.
A charity of whose choice?
A charity of the Jets fans' choice when they chime in. They give a review and all
Okay.
that. We'll
that's
start
nice.
tallying it up every week.
Why have you been killing the Jets?
No, everyone thinks I said they're going to go 0-9. I didn't say that. I said they had a difficult 9-game schedule.
Well, you've been wrong.
I said, well, no, because I said the 2 games I thought they would have won, they've won right now.
Oh, you're saying they're going to go in the next 9? They're not going to win one.
No, I didn't say
not
that either.
following.
I said they were going to win 5 games this season. I bet the under on the win total. That was all.
1 year old.
People think
Happy
everyone
birthday,
said I
Pete.
said 0-9. I never said that.
This is the last week.
They hear what they want to hear.
That's true.
Last week without buys until week 15. So enjoy it this week. And remember, London game, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. For Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco, I'm Chris Hassel. Hope we get some winners this week.
We will. I will.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.